Welcome back to another fucking video, boys. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the mindset needed to hit $1 million a month in info and coaching. I know a little bit of a different style of video than what I normally post, but honestly, one of the most important videos I have on my channel to this date, because as much as the tactical shit that I show you is important, the funnel strategies, the advertising strategies, et cetera, and the things that I'm learning. One of the things that has helped me make the biggest breakthroughs in personal income, client income, business revenue, etc., is genuinely mindset. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys 4 things that have helped me, my clients, the business I currently work with, etc., make a fuckload more money. So without further ado, grab your phone, grab some food, watch this entire video, and let's get into it. Wasting no time here, excuse me. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Jason Malucci. I live here in Miami, Florida, and I help info and coaching businesses scale to high 6, even 7 figures a month in cash collected. Okay, I did $1 million a month in May. We did another $1 million a month with a client in June. I've done multiple 6 figures a month for other clients. I've done 6-figure launches, and I have nothing to sell you in this video. I'm simply sharing what I learn and do on a day-to-day basis with the goal of documenting my journey, sharing everything I learned so you guys can copy and paste the shit and make more money for yourself and your clients, as well as retaining the information myself, because obviously when you're explaining something and teaching on a topic, it helps you understand the information better yourself. So without further ado, so let me start by saying this. To reach a substantially new number of revenue inside of your business or your client's business, or even your personal income, it takes a completely different mindset than what you previously had that got you to where you are now. Okay, so it doesn't matter how much income you're making or what revenue number you're at in your business, etc. You could be at 100K a month, 10K a month, 500K a month, $1 million a month. I do not give a fuck. You took certain actions, you are a certain person, and you've had a certain mindset that has gotten you up until the point you are at right now, okay? And fundamentally, if you want to get to a new and higher level of income, of revenue, of your client's business, etc., it should be obvious that there are new identities, new beliefs, new traits, and fundamentally a new mindset you have to get there. I will literally prove this to you with this example. Take your personal income as an example. Okay, look at what we have here. Okay. Remember, let's look back for a second. Remember when we were fucking paycheck to paycheck normies, when we were poor, okay? Look at this guy, paycheck to paycheck normie. I can assure you, and I'm sure you would agree with me, that the person you were when you were a paycheck to paycheck normie, maybe you're one right now, it's okay. But the point I'm trying to make is this person is completely different. They dress different. They have a completely different mindset. They have a different aura, a different level of confidence than the person you are when you are making a substantially higher amount of money, income, revenue, etc. Take this as an example, okay? Little baby making millions of dollars a month. Just literally look and just take a look at them. On one hand, the paycheck to paycheck normie is wearing a fucking Minecraft t-shirt. He looks like he's probably still a virgin. Respectfully, I mean, granted, the kid looks like he's like maybe 10, and I'm not trying to hate on Minecraft. It's a fantastic game right there. I used to rip that shit all the time when I was young. But the point I'm trying to make is this person is completely different in almost every way, shape, and form. Their identity is different than this person, okay? Take a look at Lil Baby. Looks like the fucking Chrome Hearts final boss. He got a Chrome Heart shirt. He's got a Chrome Hearts jeans. Those are probably $10,000 plus. He's leaning on a Virgil Maybach, okay? And you can just tell his entire aura and the way he carries himself is completely fucking different, okay? And so the point I'm trying to articulate to you is that the same is true not only in your personal income, but with your business's income as well as your client's business's income, and then the amount of the numbers you're doing revenue per month. It's the same thing. Okay, so once again, nearly everything about you is different based on your income. Okay, I'll use myself as an example. I'm a completely different person now than the person I was when I was making $10,000 a month. I dress different. There's certain things I do that are just completely different. Like at 30, 50, $100,000 a month, you're simply doing things that are different. You're going to go to, for example, you might go to dinner, with your family, and you might cover the entire bill and tip the waiter 50%, 100%. You go valet your car, you tip the valet driver $50 because fuck it, you can't. You're just a different person. You have a different level of abundance about you. Dress completely different. You are a completely different person. You're taking different actions. Fuck, right now I drink fucking Mountain Valley spring water. Okay, it probably sounds like such a retarded example, but the water I drink is different. I just carry myself differently than when I was poor and I was living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, so once again, The same thing is true for your business. The mentality that gets you to 100K a month or wherever the fuck you are right now, it's not going to be the same thing that gets you to $1 million a month plus. Okay, so that's what this video is about. I want to share with you 4 breakthroughs that I've had that have finally helped me reach that with a client, and as well as increase my personal income. Okay, so let's start with number one. Number one is something I learned is go big on what's already working. Okay, this sounds obvious, but double, triple, quadruple the fuck down on what is already working. Okay, and that, once again, it sounds obvious, but listen to this. Okay, a lot of times people think that they are capped in revenue, but they are simply failing to do what they are currently doing, what's currently profitable at a larger scale. Okay, so most of you guys probably, yes, you probably have some inefficiencies in the process you run or in the business, right? But it still generates you a profitable result. And so the point I'm trying to make is, instead of trying to spend all your time and effort on making the process more efficient and scaling that way, you could just scale the system you have that's already profitable. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Okay, one of the businesses that I currently, actually the client I work with that has reached over $1 million a month. When I initially started working with them, okay, they were at $200,000 a month in revenue. And this is what the funnel looked like. It was organic YouTube, just purely organic. We had not tapped into paid ads. Going to a simple call funnel. We had an opt-in. We had a VSL. We had an application page. And there was a huge inefficiency here, and still is. This is a bottleneck we're trying to fix at $1 million a month. You'll see that in a second, in a future point I make. But the thing about this call funnel is it wasn't an auto book-in funnel. Like, guys couldn't just fundamentally click on the calendar and manually book in themselves for a plethora of reasons. That's a separate tangent that I won't go on. But the point I'm trying to make is, you might argue that's an inefficient system, and there's things in this funnel that we could have fixed. We could have maybe increased the opt-in rate. We could have maybe tried a new VSL. We could have probably increased the close rate or the AOV, or there's things in the business that we could have made more efficient. But honestly, what I felt like was the easiest thing to do, and when I started working with these people, they asked me, how do we make more money? And you know what I said? So initially they had a team of 2 setters and a couple closers, right? It was a very lean team doing 200K a month. And like I said, there's no manual bookings. So the only way appointments are getting booked on the calendar is by setters manually outbound calling people and qualifying them and putting them on the calendar with the existing leads we have and the new lead flow that we got, right? So instead of trying to change this entire thing up to make more money, what we did is we simply scaled the sales team, and we scaled the current profitable operation that we had, and we nuked the fuck out of the volume that was going through there until we couldn't anymore. Okay, so what we did was we hired a fuckload more setters, we hired a fuckload more closers. We simply just scaled the way we were booking appointments. We kept pretty much everything else the same, and immediately within a month, 2 months, we got this up to $400,000 a month. Okay, and so once again, to wrap this up, the lesson here is simple. You can sit here, you can try to nitpick your fucking VSL application rate, whatever the fuck, your close rate, your show rate, barring those aren't like dog shit, or you could simply nuke the fuck out of a profitable action that you have and scale it till it officially breaks. It's the same thing with personal income, right? There's certain actions you are taking that are high dollar per hour actions, okay? If you just did more of those actions, you would simply make more money. And yes, there's a point in which you need to try to scale. You need to try to acquire leverage. Maybe you need to change vehicles, etc. But it's a very important mindset just to maximize what you're currently doing. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two, and something I've learned, is increasing risk tolerance. Okay, and this kind of goes with number one. You'll see what I mean in a second. But let's take this example outside of info coaching and really business overall, right? So take day trading as an example, or you could take gambling, right? I believe making money is very parallel to that. Say you become a skilled day trader or even a skilled gambler, right? It doesn't matter which one, okay? Let's establish this first of all. The money you make in those 2 departments, trading and gambling, which I believe are very, correlated with making money, the money you make is solely dependent on decision making. It's essentially betting, okay? So that means to be a good trader, that does not mean every single trade or every single decision you make needs to be 100% of the time correct. That's not the goal of the game. Obviously, you want to increase the rate at which you make winning bets, but It's all you need to do is be right a good percentage of the time. That's it. All you need to do is be right a good percentage of the time. But you also need to make sure that your wins are substantially bigger than your losses. You need to, when you win, it needs to like 10x the size of your losses. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. You need to extract as much value out of your wins as possible. And so the way you scale as a gambler and trader, you could sit there and try to get more efficient and try to make, win every single bet. But fundamentally, it's life. That just doesn't fucking happen. Or you could simply become a profitable trader, win more than 50% of the time. You can even win less than that, but make bigger bets. That way, when you win, it significantly outwins your losses, if that makes sense, right? So the point I'm trying to make is the way you scale as a gambler and trader is you fucking make bigger bets. And I believe the same is true for business, right? So I'll give you an example. This is something I see with a lot of other people. Hopping on consulting calls, your consulting deals that I'm involved in, as well as even clients that I just currently work with. Okay. This is something I see a lot. So this kind of ties into number one, but this also is a great example of risk tolerance. So take another call funnel as an example. Let's say all the money is coming from paid meta ads. Okay. So Instagram and Facebook ads, but let's say it's all paid. There's no organic. Okay. And so let's say the end result of you running this funnel with these paid ads is a 2x ROAS. And maybe your break even ROAS with your margins is like 1.5 or something, right? So you're like barely profitable. What a lot of people try to do in this situation to scale is they once again try to, kind of going back to number one, they try to nitpick every little stat and try to like make this thing more efficient, right? They try to get the opt-in rate up. They change the opt-in page. They change the sales process to get the show rate up. They change what's on the thank you page to get people framed about whatever. They change a bunch of shit up to try to increase the ROAS, or essentially increase the efficiency at which this is operating. It's not a bad thing to do. But what you could also do to make $1 million a month, at least in revenue, is what if you just spent $500,000 on this current system, right? This 2x ROAS, and you just nuked it with 500K and flipped it into $1 million. Okay, you doubled down on what's already working. So the point I'm trying to make is this. To go back to number one, you're doubling down on what's already working. This is a profitable action. Instead of changing shit up and sitting there and playing this game of trying to like get this ROAS up, right? You could simply just spend more money and make more money, okay? But the second part is risk tolerance. How many of you guys are willing to take a client's money or your own money, whatever, depends on if it's your business or not, and spend $500,000 with the potential to lose it? Because once again, this is like trading or gambling. You don't win every trade you take. You don't win every bet you make. Okay, it's simply not how life works. However, when the odds are in your favor, do you put all the chips in the fucking middle? That's the point I'm trying to make. And if you can, you can seriously increase your risk tolerance and be okay with losing when you know you made a right decision and the odds are in your favor, you can make significantly more money. Okay. And so let's wrap it up by saying this. When you are able to make big bets, okay, and win, or even if you make the big bet and you lose, but as long as it doesn't ruin you. So kind of to go off on a tangent, okay, I'm not saying to make an unhealthy sized bet. I'm not saying to bet your fucking mortgage on your fucking ad spend in that example. That's not what I'm saying, okay? Your goal is to make a bet that makes you kind of feel a certain way, gives you that uncomfortable feeling in your gut, but something that won't ruin you and put you into fucking generational poverty if you lose, okay? You need to be able to recoup the money if you lose, right? And so when you do that, and you even lose, especially when you win, but even if you lose the money, but it doesn't ruin you, right? And eventually the money comes back, this increases your risk tolerance and it makes you less emotional about the money, okay? And we all know this is true. You guys have all probably made a fucking purchase, a materialistic purchase or something that made your stomach turn a little bit. It made you a little bit uncomfortable. I'll give you an example. When I first moved to Miami, right? I paid $3.5K a month to stay here. That was the most rent I've ever fucking paid. That's like triple the rent that I've paid in the past. Okay. Very uncomfortable. My income wasn't as high as it currently is when I initially moved here. Extremely uncomfortable, position to be in. It made my stomach hurt. But guess what? The first rent payment came and I paid it, and it hurt and I was nervous about it. But guess what? Less than a week later, maybe a little bit over, I don't even know how much money I was making at the time. But about less than a week later, the money fucking spawned into my bank account again. You know why? And you know what that showed me? Is I'm a fucking earner. I can go out into the free marketplace and generate money whenever the fuck I want. Okay? And that is what, increasing your risk tolerance teaches you. You make a bet, you lose, sure, but then you go get the money back. You realize it's not life or death. And what this does is it makes you less emotional about the money. And if you can become unemotional about making these bets, you can genuinely make a fuckload of money, not only for yourself, but for your clients and for those around you. This is something I'm even currently working on doing better at, but I truly believe this allows you to win at a very large scale. And this is what, top tier billionaires are doing. They're making extremely large bets on companies, on stocks, etc. And they're taking their money and they're flipping it into more money. And they're unemotional about the money they lose. Money is not real, just fucking paper. Okay. And if you can have that understanding, then you can significantly, use it to make more money. Okay. So once again, and to wrap this up, this is not only about money. Okay. This is not only about risking money. A lot of times, maybe you don't have any money and you need to risk time. You need to put a fucking year's worth of work into a business that you don't know if it's going to work out. Okay. So the same thing applies though. When you increase your risk tolerance, okay, it will allow you, whether it's with your time or money, it will allow you to make more money. Okay. So the third thing, okay, this one is really interesting. And this is probably, I would say, one of the biggest fucking things we did that helped us scale to $1 million a month plus. I call it do the math, aim higher, and get every single person to buy in that it's fucking possible. And that's a deep belief. We're going to talk about that in a second. But let's take this example. I don't know why I always use this call funnel as an example, but it makes sense to me. We're going to do some money math together. So let's say you have this call funnel, and let's just say it's all coming from paid, just to make the numbers really easy to talk about. Let's say you have a cost per call, or number one, let's just say this. Let's say your goal is to make $1 million a month in revenue. Start with that. Let's say you've been running this funnel for a while. You're probably at like 200K, whatever, right? And your cost per call is $200. And this is your stats for show rate, close rate, and AOV. Surprisingly, what a lot of people fail to do is take their goals and use financial modeling to reverse engineer what the fuck they need the inputs they need to have to accomplish the fucking goal. So I guess to make this clear for you guys, let's just do it together. Just fucking type this out to the side. Once again, let's say our goal is $1 million a month. Our goal is we want to find out how many calls we need to book, how much ad spend we need to front. So I'm going to pull out my fucking phone and let's do some calculations together. Okay. So this month we want to make, it's kind of fucking blurry, but this month we want to make $1 million. Okay. If we divide $1 million by the average order value per closed deal that we have, AOV, which is 3,600 in this example, divide $1 million by 3,600, which is our average deal size, we get 277.78. So we need to close 278 deals at that AOV to make $1 million this month. If you factor in close rate and show rate, you can figure out how many total calls you need to book. 277 closed deals we need to have. You divide it by 0.33, you get 841. That's the number of showed calls that we need in order to hit this goal. You factor in show rate, so you divide by 0.5, 1,683. That is how many calls we need to book in the entire month at these stats in order to hit $1 million a month. 1,683. Well, now we have a cost per call of $200. We multiply that number by 200. We need to front $336 of ad spend in order to hit this goal with these current stats. So this is what I mean by money math, right? And it doesn't matter what fucking type of funnel you run. Let's say we talk about the funnel earlier and you have setters manually booking people in. Well, literally backtrack how many fucking people you need to hire to hit your goal. To go back a second, if we need to book, let's say, if we need to take 900 calls in a month in order to hit our goal, right? You divide that by 30 days. That means we need to take 30 calls a day. This is just a random example, by the way. But let's say we need to take 30 calls a day in order to hit our goal. Well, one closer can take, let's say 6 calls max, right? So you divide that by 6. That means we need to hire 5 closers minimum in order to hit our goal, right? So do you see how money math works for everything? It shows you how much ad spend you need to front, shows you how many people you need to hire. It really gives you a very confident feeling of the inputs you need to put in order to hit the output goal that you want. Now, here's the fucking key with money math. This is how you smash any fucking goal ever. Is you know what you do? you aim way fucking higher than those stats that you calculated. You want to take what I call a pessimistic estimate of the stats, right? Because yes, you could front $336,000 of ad spend, flip it to a 3x ROAS, and flip that into a mil. That's a doable thing to do, right? And at those stats, it's telling you that's what's going to happen. But guess what? At scale, your ROAS could drop. Okay, your show rate could drop. Something unforeseen could happen. So why not shoot for like 1.5 mil, calculate the stats based off of that, and just make that the standard in the KPI that you guys need to hit every day. Make that the ad spend you make. Make that the number of hires you make, the number of closers you have, the number of calls you need to book a day, etc. Okay, and what this accounts for is margin of error. Margin of error is so important. If you don't account for margin of error and things that could go wrong, you're going to set a goal and you might even hit your inputs, but you're still going to fall short of your goal. So you can even get really like meticulous about this and get it down to individual KPIs, right? This is what you should do. Say once again that the only calls you book are from outbound dialers, like literally calling people and booking them onto a calendar. You need to book 30 calls a day in order to hit your goal, and you have 10 setters currently on your team. Each setter's individual KPI for the calls that they need to book is 3. So if 10 setters book 3 calls, you get to your 30 calls a day, you hit a mil, right? When you bump that number up to 1.5 mil, because we're going to count for margin of error, each setter needs to book like 5 calls. And this allows for, once again, maybe a setter gets sick. Maybe a setter's grandmother falls down the stairs and he's got to like go help her one day and he can't get his calls up, right? It makes up for the plethora of things that could go wrong when you account for margin of error, but you can still get this down to individual KPIs and make this like lofty goal something that's extremely simple and straightforward to hit, right? And this is something that we did that genuinely made us a fuckload of money. Okay, so after you run this math, you run 1.5 mil a month math, whatever the case is for your goal, right? Let's just say it's a mil a month, and you get to the numbers. You're like, guys, we got to book 30 calls a day, right? The maximum number of calls we've booked is 10 calls, right? But if we want to hit this goal, we got to book 30 calls a day. The first seed that's planted into people's minds, especially ones of like your team, your setters, your sales team, etc., is, dude, there's no way that's fucking possible. We've only booked 10. The maximum amount of calls we booked in a day is 10. Like, there's no fucking way that's possible, right? You will never hit these goals. Doesn't matter the math, doesn't matter the KPIs you give people. You will never get these goals unless you get the people on your team to genuinely buy in that it's fucking possible. I don't know what you got to do. You got to host a fucking big meeting. You got to change people's paradigms. You send people content they got to watch and consume. You got to really work with people that are extremely high level and think at an extremely high level and genuinely think bigger and believe that their goals are possible. Okay. If you don't do this, if everyone on your team is not bought in, the goal will not get accomplished. It just won't fucking happen. It's extremely important. The third thing, think bigger and restructure accordingly. I was the other day, I was in the gym, and I normally listen to music in the gym, but for some reason I just felt like a podcast. I was getting tired of listening to all the Drake albums on repeat. I listen to a lot of Drake. He's my favorite artist. So I was like, fuck it, let me rip a podcast, right? Forget who it was, but this guy was interviewing a fucking billionaire, and this guy's doing a couple mil a month, right? Couple mil a month profit. And, he's trying to figure out how he can get to 8 figures a month. He's trying to figure out how he can get to 10 mil a month. And he's talking to this billionaire. They're kind of talking through it. And the billionaire said something that I think was extremely important. And it's a money mindset thing. And, he did this exercise with him. He's like, think about what your current goal is and how long it'll take, right? So this guy wanted to get to 10 mil a month. And I kind of forget the number he said, but let's say he said, man, that's going to take us probably a year to get to. Okay. Or yeah, that's going to take us a year to get done, to get to 10 mil a month, right? He said, think about your current goal and how long it'll take. So, 10 mil a month in 1 year. And then think about what it would look like for you to do 10x 100 mil a year, 100 mil a month in 1/3 of the time. And literally just list out what the fuck you need to make happen, right? And this will give you extreme clarity on the things you are currently doing that cannot get you to the next level, and the things that you aren't doing that you need to be doing to get to the next level, right? So I'll give you a couple examples to elaborate kind of how we did this, right? We were sitting at about 400K a month from purely organic content, right? We were getting all of our traffic purely organically. I've made videos on how it's a pretty dangerous game to play in the past. we were sitting at 400K a month consistently from just organic content, right? Running the same, kind of funnel that we were running, a simple call funnel. And we kind of ran this exercise like, what the fuck are some of the things that we would need to do to get to $4 million a month, right? If we multiply this by 10, right? It's like, what would we need to do, right? If we ran this exercise, we need to get to 4 mil a month, and we got to do it really fucking quick. Like just list it out. Okay. Well, number one, we probably have to branch into paid advertising. 4 mil a month organically, that's like unheard of. Not impossible. I'm not going to limit anything and say it's impossible. Just unlikely, right? So we got to learn paid ads. Fuck, we've never done that before. We got to learn paid ads, right? And then the second thing is, well, fuck, we probably got to add on a conversion mechanism. Okay, we're probably not, it's not, once again, not impossible, but with the current stats that we had, the odds that we're going to just pump $4 million a month worth of volume through one call funnel, the odds are low, right? And so, the adjustments we made to get to $1 million a month, well, we learned paid ads. We started advertising on YouTube. So that's your Google AdWords and Meta. Okay, we learned fucking paid ads. We added on an additional about $300,000 of revenue through paid advertising this month. Okay, that's about a third of our total fucking revenue. I want to get that number up to 50% minimum, if not a majority, because I don't relying on organic is bullshit in my opinion. And what we also did was we added on a conversion mechanism. We added on a monthly webinar to what we were currently doing, right? We learned paid ads, we were able to run this second funnel in the back. And once again, we made those existing changes that we needed to make to get to 4 mil a month. And it let us reach a new income level that we weren't previously able to hit, a new revenue number. That came from running that exercise, from thinking bigger. Okay, you think bigger, it tells you exactly what you need to cut out of what you're currently doing and exactly what you need to add on, right? And so I'll give you another example, right? We're currently at $1 mil a month. This is what our shit looks like. At $1 mil a month, this is currently our fucking bottleneck. I'll just be honest, right? We have not cracked the auto book-in funnel of getting qualified people to manually book in on the calendar. Okay, this is a very B2C offer. It's a fucking, it's a lot of young kids, people who are unserious, a lot of funnel hackers we get through our funnel, right? We have not found a type form, a way to route people, just a way that works to like run an auto booking funnel and not have complete fucking retards booking on the calendar. Okay. What this, hinders us with is it makes it, a little bit less scalable. If we wanted to do 10 mil a month, we can't be solely reliant on appointments getting booked through through a massive outbound dialers team. Like we can't just hire 1,000 setters and, 500 closers, right? Kind of going back to point one. It's like, yes, you want to max out what you're currently doing, right? But like that's a kind of a vehicle switch or a sales restructure that we need to have in order to, reach the next level in the amount of time that we want to reach it, right? And so now when we brainstorm and we think about, okay, what do we need to do to get to fucking 10 mil a month, 3 mil a month, whatever, right? It's like, okay, well, it just makes it painfully obvious, right? Like our sales process just simply isn't scalable with that much volume. So we have to learn how to fucking crack this funnel. And that's what we're currently focused on, right? And there's other things too, but to make this really simple, I just want to get that point across to you, right? And I hope you understand it and that, I at least hope that made sense. Anyways, boys, that was a fucking banger. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. On the screen, I have put my Instagram. Go shoot me a follow, shoot me a DM there if you guys have any questions. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I appreciate you all for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.